Hey man, say man, it's your boy Big Dreams. Welcome back to the channel. Before we carry on any further with this video, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all comment. Most importantly, make sure y'all subscribe and hit that post notification bell. Set it to all. We is back with another banger video, back with another reaction video, man. And today, y'all see the screen. We are gonna be reacting to how the government screwed up the Diddy case. Michael Franzese. Finna go on ahead and dig in here and see what's going on. I'm not gonna make the opening of this video too long. All I ask is that y'all smash that like button so this video can rank higher in the algorithm. Go crazy in the comments. Let me know what you want me to react to. And if you're watching me and you're not subscribed, man, subscribe. That's all I ask. We finna go on ahead and dig in, man. Make sure that volume up, press start.
I'm not going to defend his behavior. In my view, the behavior was despicable. You don't treat women like that. You just don't. He beats the real serious charges in the case. And I think it's totally on the government. If they would have charged him with domestic violence or domestic abuse, whatever, after we saw that videotape of how he beat up Cassie in the hotel room by the elevators, we all saw it. I'm not talking out of turn. We saw it. But they would have had a lot better shot because it was from video right before. I mean, there's no question about that. They overreached and they got screwed. So what'd they do? They wasted taxpayers' money. They wasted a lot of time and they lost. Hey everyone, welcome to another sit down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving goes to our God for that. Well, you can see I'm not in my studio. I happen to be in Sydney, Australia. We finally made it here. We had a rough trip coming. The plane that we were on had to make a U-turn, go back to the original airport in Los Angeles, and then finally we left 12 hours later. The weather was rough here. It's beautiful today, but we finally made it here. Most of you know I had some issues with getting my visa and all of that stuff, but we got a great tour coming up in Sydney and Melbourne. Got a number of dates. We got lunches and dinners, and listen, I love it here in Australia. It's probably my 5th or 6th visit over the last 10 years. It's always been great. So here we are. But so much is happening today. I had to jump on and talk about it. I know you like my perspective. At least some of you do. You enjoy what I have to say. Others want to argue with me. That's fine. That's what it's all about. But two things that are going on that are important. Number one, Trump's big, beautiful bill was passed by the Senate, and obviously now it's going through the House. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. That's for another day. Right now we're going to talk about the Diddy case. You probably know by now the jury has spoken. He was acquitted on 3 of the 5 counts that he was facing. He was acquitted on the 3 most serious accounts, one being the RICO and the other 2 being sex trafficking. Those were the most serious. One of them could have been a life sentence, the RICO, and the other 2 up to 20 years. So he beat those 2. And he was convicted of 2 counts of prostitution. It was a violation of the Mann Act, transporting prostitution. So he did well. He absolutely did well. There's no question about it. With all the fanfare around this case, with all the money the government spent, with all the media on top of it, he did well. He's not going to spend the rest of his life in prison. I think these counts, they carry up to 10 years. I doubt that he'll get 10 years. He's a first-time offender. In the federal system, they sentence by guidelines, and his guidelines will probably be pretty good. My guess, and I'm guessing, is he's going to do between 5 and 10 years. That's what I believe. It might be less. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on it right now. And again, we're not inside the courtroom. We're outside, and we get our accounts from the media, from other people talking. We don't see what actually is going on. We don't hear the arguments from the attorneys on both sides. But my best guess right now, 5 to 10 years. We'll see. But let's go back to the dynamics of the case. If you follow me, I've said it both on my platform and on others, on television, every place else I was interviewed. I didn't understand the RICO. I said, this is not a RICO case. I know RICO. I had 3 RICO indictments, 2 federal, 1 brought on by Giuliani that I beat, 1 state that I beat, and of course I had the 1 RICO that I pled guilty on and went to jail for. You all know that, don't have to be redundant. So I really understand the statute. I had to defend it several times. I didn't see RICO here. Let's go back to the origin of RICO for a moment. The RICO statute was created to go after organized crime, specifically the Mafia Cosa Nostra. No doubt about it. Okay, that's what it was created for. It wasn't really, it was back in 1970. It wasn't really put into use until Giuliani got a hold of it and started to use it very effectively. That's what it was intended for. Do they still use it only for the mob? Obviously not. They charge Diddy with it. They charge people on Wall Street with it. Now they have civil RICO cases. They go wild. You give the government an inch, they're going to take it all the way. They take a yard and a mile and anything that you give them. So they use the RICO statute. Our president now, Donald Trump, was charged with RICO. I didn't get it there either. But the Diddy case, I don't get even more. He was the lone defendant. Normally in a RICO case, you have multiple defendants. One of the theories could have been that all of the co-conspirators with him copped a plea with the government, agreed to testify, and they were unindicted co-conspirators as part
Okay, let me pause it right there real quick, y'all. To be honest, the RICO charge is a charge they should have never ever tried to bring into the to the ordeal. They should have never tried to hit this man with a RICO just because he's the only person that y'all are trying to bury with the RICO. Like he just said, a RICO typically includes a lot of people. A boss of organized crime whose hands are not dirty from committing all the dirty work and all the crimes and all that other stuff. And you got all the people who was doing the dirty work, who was taking orders, maybe taking payments and stuff because the boss is ordering them to go out here and do different hits somewhere, go do this place, do that place. That's what we think of when you hear RICO. And that wasn't that here. If you gonna try to form a RICO, at least have proof that meets the criteria of the RICO and at least have the other people that was involved. Not saying that it's impossible to charge one person only in a RICO, but it's unusual that it's one person only being charged with a RICO and not everybody else that's involved on the crime, so I think that that's a charge that they should have never ever tried to hit him with. I feel like they had a better chance at getting him on the domestic violence charge because of the whole Cassie video. That's proof itself that dropped. Drug charges and firearm charges, they had a better chance at digging into those categories than they did a RICO. How are you going to charge one person with a RICO here? In his case, when there's more people involved on a lot of the stuff that he did. You can't charge one person and not bring the rest into it. So that was an unnecessary charge anyway when you think about it.
RICO, but they weren't actually charged. But I still didn't get it. It wasn't a RICO indictment. The government overreached. No question about it. And I've said this all along. Why did they overreach? Well, sometimes the Southern District is allegedly the most elite federal district in the country. It has the reputation of being that, no question about it. I was indicted, when Giuliani was the U.S. attorney there, and that's their reputation. Sometimes they think that just by their clout alone and just by the multitude of charges that they put against someone that they're going to win. But let me tell you something. Jurors today are a little bit more sophisticated, a little smarter, and they don't just buy into the government automatically. They don't. They are watching the government over the past several years, and there's a lot of people in the government that just don't carry themselves well. They lie straight out. We know on a political level what happens. We've seen it in the FBI. We've seen it in a lot of different places. A lot of people are not pro-law enforcement anymore, which means that the government really has to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not cut and dry anymore. It's really not. The government doesn't have that credibility where they think they can just go charge somebody and then they're going to win the case based upon the media and the ugliness sometimes, the way the case looks. A case can look real bad, but it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. You have to have the evidence. Obviously, they didn't have it, and I said from day one, this isn't a RICO matter. There's no real pattern of racketeering. There's not a criminal enterprise. They tried to call all the Bad Boy Records a criminal enterprise. Of course it's not. It was a legitimate business in many ways. So he beats the real serious charges in the case. And I think it's totally on the government. You know, if they would have charged him with domestic violence or domestic abuse, whatever, after we saw that videotape of how he beat up Cassie in the hotel room by the elevators, we all saw it. I'm not talking out of turn. We saw it, but they would have had a lot better shot because it was in video right before. I mean, there's no question about that. But anyway, they overreached and they got screwed. So what did they do? They wasted taxpayers' money. They wasted a lot of time, and they lost. Now, one of the things that probably did come out of this, look, I'm not going to defend his behavior. In my view, the behavior was despicable. You know, you don't treat women like that. You just don't. You know, all this kind of stuff. You just don't do it. And it was despicable behavior. So was he hurt in that regard? He's done 10 months in jail. He spent millions of dollars on his defense, no question about it. My guess, at least $10 million on that case. These lawyers are not cheap. Half of them asked for $1 million retainers just to get involved in the case. He had a slew of returners. So, and I think this dirtied him up quite a bit. How it'll affect him in the future, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, are people still going to run to him? He's still got a lot of money. He's a wealthy guy. I don't know.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I feel like once Diddy gets free of all this and he get back out here in the world, it's still going to be some people in the industry that come and mess with him. We not already seen that. You got people in the industry that was celebrating that he wasn't found guilty on the RICO, that he wasn't finna go to prison for the rest of his life. They wanted Diddy to not have no connections in the industry. But I know for a fact when he gets out and all of this is behind him, you got people that still gonna go and work with him. You got people that still gonna go and be around him because not everybody wanted to see him all the way down like most do. It's still some out here that'll go, and if he throw a party right now, they will attend. It's some right now that if he, hey, let's do this, do that, or if he calls so and so or whatever, it's still some people that's gonna come and chill with him and kick it with him. And the way some of the rappers in the industry acted and celebrated when he was found not guilty on that RICO, I know what I'm saying is true for a fact. Because if you was against it, you would have never ever celebrated it. So it's true, or I wouldn't even say it's true. It's clear that most of it, you know what I'm saying, most of them ain't against anything that he did, you know. So if you ask me, they tried to take that away, but man, he still gonna have that. He might not have everybody on his side in the industry, but it's still some folks that's gonna go and rock with that man. I guarantee y'all it's still some people that ain't gonna care and they still gonna go rock with that man.
Things that really hurt him in the case is that, you know, Cassie, she still loved the guy. You know, she said it on the stand, I love this guy. She willingly went to these freak-offs. You know, she got paid $20 million to keep quiet afterwards. Maybe if she would have got $30 million, she would have never testified against him, because I understand there was a dispute about another $10 million that she wanted. She wanted 30, he gave her 20, she becomes a witness later on, and I understand she was a good witness. She told the truth from what I was told. Again, I wasn't in the courtroom. So I think that could have hurt him a lot. The fact that the jury said, hey, you know, okay, maybe he didn't treat her right, but that's not what he's being charged with really here. What he's being charged with is sex trafficking. And she was a willing participant in the freak-off. She said it. You know, she may not have liked it every moment, but she said she wanted to do whatever she had to do to please him. So the jury's looking at it, well, she wasn't really forced into this. She agreed to go along with it. She said she was in love with him. You know, I don't know. You know, I had that fella Sheree on, you know, the exotic dancer that was paid to come in and have sex with Cassie in front of Diddy. Come on. You know, who agrees with any of this stuff? It's outlandish. It's terrible. But even he said he didn't witness any violence. He wasn't forcing it to doing anything. Cassie was willing to sit down with him or lay down with him, whatever they did, and have sex. So, it was a tough charge to prove when the witnesses coming on saying, yeah, I wanted to do it, and it was both witnesses. I think the other one's name, I forget her name, but the two
50 Cent baby mama Daphne, ain't it?
Said the same thing. So it was very tough. This is what happens when the government overreaches, when they want
excuse me, y'all, I'm sorry.
Just pile on the charges thinking, hey, let me throw enough charges against them and something's going to stick. In my RICO case, okay, I don't think I was guilty of RICO, neither did the jury. My jury was out. I was one of the lead defendants. It was me and Jimmy Rotundo. You probably know who he is. Poor guy is gone now. We were the lead defendants. The jury was out, I think, 6 or 7 days. And when the jury came back and we polled them, they said, Michael, we acquitted you in the first hour of the first day. That's how weak the case was. But they threw me into it. I had to spend several weeks. I had to spend millions of dollars on defending myself. That's what the government does at times. They overreach. Instead of just charging somebody with what you believe they actually did, don't keep throwing stuff against the wall, hoping that it's going to stick, or thinking because you're the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District that the jury's going to buy into anything. Those days are gone.
That's just like what Gene Deal said in the video that I react to yesterday. I reacted to that video yesterday. If y'all ain't seen that video, go back and watch it. They was more than likely after his finances, more than likely after taking his money and property and inheritance. That's probably why they tried to hit him with them charges, because they was after what he had. They wanted to drain him dry of everything, his inheritance, his money, nothing. They didn't want to leave not a thing for him to fall back on whenever he's through dealing with this right here. That's more than likely why they tried to hit him with those charges. But the criteria of what he did not meet up with the actual things that they were trying to charge him with. So they failed in that aspect. I feel like when you put it into perspective, and this is just my feelings, they were after his money more so than trying to nail him with something that's going to put him away for a long time. May not have been for life, but it could have gave him it could have gave the government a better shot at giving him more than 5 to 10 years if y'all had really focused on something that y'all could have charged him with. Because if you ask me, it's a few things that they could have charged him with, but they came at him in a way where they was trying to drain him of everything that he had, more so than nailing the guy to the things that he actually did, and for him to pay his debt to society to serve his proper time that he need to serve. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't focused on nothing. They was just, I feel like Gene Deal true on what he said when he was saying that they just after his money, and that's why they tried to hit him with them charges, bro.
They're gone. They don't do that anymore. I'm telling you, because the government has screwed themselves by being so dishonest. And nobody believes them 100% anymore. The government now has the burden of proof, a big time. They've always had the burden of proof, but now they have the burden of credibility besides, because they don't have it anymore. And that's the way it goes. And I think, this case should teach them something. Now, the other thing is, Diddy, after doing 10 months in jail, was hoping that he'd get out on bail. The judge denied the bail. The government came forward and said, he's still a danger. He's still violent. We've seen it on the video. Other people have said he's used violence. So they used that as the reason to have him remain with no bail. So he's going to be there until sentencing. Sentencing will probably be in 60 to 90 days. In the feds, they do a pre-sentence report. They prepare for it like that. So he'll have a good year in prior to his sentencing. What the judge does at that point is anybody's guess. I stopped trying to guess on judges and juries. I really do, because you never know. You just don't know what people are thinking. But, at least on this one, I was fairly certain about the RICO. It just didn't stand up. And a lot of people have said that now. It just didn't hold water. So that's what happened. Diddy, I think he's got to be very thankful. He's get on his knees and thank God tonight, because he could have spent the rest of his life in jail, or he could have spent at least up to 20 years had the jury bought into even one of those other counts. Could have done it. But I think he's got to be pretty happy right now. His family's got to be happy. And listen, I am for this, people. I got to tell you this. I do not like to see the government overreach. We have a system. Some people have been negative on me on this, but I am 100% against the death penalty. I think it should be abolished. Now, why do I say that? You may say, come on, Michael, such heinous crimes, these people, they deserve to die. And you know what? Maybe you're right. There's some despicable people out there that have done such heinous crimes. Maybe they do deserve to die. They don't deserve to live. But you know what? The government makes mistakes. I am sorry.
Right.
The government frames people.
Right.
Over 200 people on death row were released as a result.
If you ask me, that's probably the main reason why they should get rid of that. I don't know for certain what states in our country that the freaking penalty is still a thing, but just for that reason by itself, I feel like it should be thrown out completely. It's different if you actually got the right person doing a horrible, horrible crime, like horrible, dark. Like it's different when you got somebody for real that did it. But when you get an innocent man or innocent woman wrongfully convicted, they sit in prison for this amount of time before y'all decide to do that, and this whole time they innocent, and you do that to them, and later on after you do it, you find out you was wrong. There's no undoing that. There is no undoing that. That's the only reason why I feel like they should get rid of that penalty, bro, because people be wrongfully convicted. And if y'all decide to throw somebody in for 45 years before you decide that you want to do that to them, and that 45-year period come and you do it to them, and later on down the line, oh, so-and-so was innocent, but they got that penalty. Come on now.
Of DNA evidence. It shows that they were unfairly prosecuted. There was prosecutorial misconduct. These were innocent people that would have been put to death. And in a civilized government, you can't do that. You can't even make one mistake. One mistake. So with respect to that, abolish the death penalty. And let me tell you something. I think sometimes people think that life in prison, in solitary or in a high-level institution, is like a walk in the park. It's not. I just know the guy from the Idaho killings, those 4 students that were killed, he took a plea. And he took a plea. This happened today too. A lot of stuff going on in my country while I'm here in Australia. He took a plea, and people are upset about it because, he's going to do life in prison, and he avoided the death penalty. Life in prison is no walk in the park. It's no walk in the park, especially if they keep you in solitary. If they keep you in one of these new max prisons, forget it. You don't even see the outside world. You don't see people. You have no human contact. It's terrible. Who wants to live like that? I told you before, you heard my story. The first night that I was in solitary and they told me you're going to spend the rest of your life here, after my experience, visiting my father 25 years, seeing my family, myself, having to get on planes, travel to see my father, it was such a burden. I said, you know what, put me to sleep, man. If I got to spend the rest of my life in solitary confinement, put me to sleep. I'd rather close my eyes, not wake up. It's not a walk in the park. So don't think that people are getting away with something because they weren't put to death. If they're doing life in prison in a high-level institution, it's tough. I'm telling you that right now. So, I think justice was served today in the Diddy case. Again, I don't like his behavior. I don't like anything that what he did. But you can only charge a guy with what's illegal. Understand this too, and I may take some heat from this. Everything that is immoral is not always illegal. Because if everything that was immoral was illegal, half this country would be in prison right now. The people on OnlyFans would be in prison.
Right.
Because a lot of the acts are immoral.
Right.
A lot of the things that are done are immoral. But you can't litigate everything that's immoral. It's not always illegal. What people do personally, that's up to them. May not be tasteful, of course it's not. May be disgusting in some terms, doesn't mean that it's illegal. And there has to be a distinction between the two. And I think that's where the prosecution lost it in that. They thought they were going to show a lot of immorality on his part. And the jury said, okay, we don't like this. We don't like what he did. But it's not illegal. They didn't prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you don't prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, the person must go free. That's what our system says. So many people said to me, when the O.J. Simpson thing, come on, Michael, he was guilty. And you know what? I know he was guilty. O.J. Simpson, in my view, and everything that we've seen, murdered his wife and murdered that young man. But he got away with it because the prosecution did not prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And remember, the system is not made for one person. It's made for everyone. For everyone. So every once in a while, somebody that's guilty is going to be found innocent. They slip through. But the prosecution's conviction rate on both state and federal level is well over 90%. In just about every state, it's over 90%. And the feds are way over 90%. I think there's something like 94, 95% conviction. So you don't get away with stuff when you charge, normally. You're going to suffer some consequences. You're going to do some jail time. You're going to suffer some consequences. So we must hold the government to the burden of proving somebody's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they don't prove it, even if that person is guilty, they must go free. That protects the system. That protects all of us. Because again, you can't give the government an inch. If you give them an inch, they'll take a yard, and then they'll take a mile. You can't do that. We complain about white men, but who did Diddy hire? Who got him off? It was the white men that were up out front there, So I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. White men are no good until they're doing something for you. And the reason I'm saying this is get rid of this racist stuff. If somebody is good at what they do, that's who you hire. If they're black, red, green, yellow, doesn't matter. You hire the most competent people to do the job. Diddy hired competent people, and they got him off. You got to give him credit, okay? They got him off. And I think they got it right, and I think this jury got it right. So for those of you out there that are saying, oh, come on, this conduct was despicable, it might have been, but was it illegal? The jury said no, and I think they got it right. So don't complain. And let me tell you something. I think Diddy's going to learn something from this. He's an older guy now. Listen, sometimes you do things, money goes to your head, power goes to your head, you do all of these things, and, maybe you need an awakening. Maybe you need to be, so jammed that you say, what the heck am I doing? I don't know if it'll happen in his case. I don't know. But I'm saying sometimes we need that in our lives. Boom. We need to be hit with a brick and say, you know what? What I'm doing is wrong. I can't continue in this kind of conduct. I hope he makes that decision. I really do. Because no woman should ever be abused. No young man should ever be abused. Look, I talked a little bit about Justin Bieber the other day. Honestly, he was affected by something here with Diddy. He never came out and said Diddy abused him. He said he was disappointed in Diddy, but he never said anything. But I think Diddy's effects were kind of far-reaching. People got hurt. They really did. Right. And it was wrong. 1,000% wrong. So hopefully he learns from this. Says, you know what? I'm hanging it up. I don't know. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to do in a personal, in the privacy of his bedroom, and that's, I don't know. Who knows? But we saw what happened here. Again, I think the jury did their job. I think the lawyers did their job, and I think the government screwed it up. That's how it goes. So, my friends, how do I always leave you? And please, I want to see your comments. Tell me what you think. And think of what I'm saying, okay? I'm not saying that his behavior was good. I'm saying that the jury got it right according to the charges that he faced. That's what I'm saying. RICO, absolutely not. He should not have gotten convicted of RICO, and the jury got it right. Sex trafficking, because the girls were saying, hey, we did go along. Yeah, we wanted to participate in these freak-offs. Well, that's not really sex trafficking. I'm sorry. Yep. Sheree, the exotic dancer, he came in, he was paid for it.
And to be honest, y'all, I agree with the man. I agree with him. It's a harsh truth. It's a very harsh truth. Everything that's morally wrong ain't illegal. They did say that they consented to it. Couldn't charge them with the trafficking. Couldn't charge them with the RICO because the facts and the criteria didn't line up with those particular charges the way that they were supposed to. Do I believe that they could have gotten him on something else other than RICO and sex trafficking? Yes. If they had took that angle, yes. And I know that they know this. The government ain't no dummies. They don't hire uneducated people. No, they have people there that are specifically trained and specialized in things and situations like this. They have to know that they could have hit him with something that they could have really proved and showed that the criteria of what he did lines up with this charge and shows that, hey, he did this. Mr. Combs falls right in this category. That's illegal. He did that. But like I said earlier, you typically don't see a one-person RICO, and you typically, never see sex trafficking if the people who were a part of it admitted to it and were consensual with it and they were okay with doing it. They might not have wanted to, but they were okay with doing it to a certain extent to see him happy. And I'm not condoning anything that the man did. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's cool to hear or it's cool to do, because it's not. I'm a firm believer in protecting women and making women feel comfortable, because women are a very important piece to the world. That's my opinion. But at the same time, when we speaking from the dynamics of this case and the perspective of this case, you can only go off of what they prove to be true. And not only what they prove has to line up with what they're trying to charge him with, man. And in this case, Diddy just got lucky, bro. He's still gonna serve some time. Michael Franzese say 5 to 10. I say by 4 to 6. I say by 4 to 6. They very well could give him 5 to 10, 10 to 15 if they wanted to, but I see 4 to 6 here. And he's gonna have his time served credited to go with that. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all that now. He's gonna have that time credited with whatever he's sentenced. So yeah, man, with this case, I'm gonna say this. I don't agree with what he did. I'm not condoning his behavior. I don't believe in all the domestic stuff and all that there. I believe that we should protect women, especially as a man. But bruh, you can literally only go with what the criteria of what he did line up with. Like, the criteria of what he did line up with the transportation of prostitution. That's the only thing they could have charged him with. Didn't line up with the RICO, didn't line up with the sex trafficking. So yeah, bro, it's just one of them things. Like, yeah, it's crazy, but they didn't come at him in the way that they should have came at him.
Hey, any sex traffic him? Some of the other testimony maybe that tried to imply that, it didn't work. The jury didn't believe it. They didn't like it. They didn't buy it. So, you got a comment? Let me know what you feel. And please, talk intelligent. If you're going to say something, talk intelligent so that we can have an intelligent debate. Because, when I say things, I don't read all the comments. I can't. There's so many. Sometimes my team will read some. But when I read them, if they're not smart, I just go over them. If you want to hear me make a rebuttal, or if you want me to hear me say something intelligent. Let's talk about this. It's important. So send me your comments, good, bad, or indifferent, but do it in a way that we can respond, accordingly. That's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way. Never going to change, no matter where I am, no matter what continent I'm on, no matter what time of day it is. And by the way, I'm 17 hours ahead of Los Angeles right now. I didn't sleep last night. I don't know where I'm going, coming or going. So hopefully this came out right. But anyway, how do I always leave you? Same way. Never going to change, no matter where I am. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless each and every one of you. You know the deal. Your family, your community, your loved ones. God bless America. And you know what? God bless Diddy tonight. I hope he changes a little bit. When you do wrong in your life, you don't always wish somebody bad. You wish that maybe they come to their senses, repent of their sins. As a Christian, I want them to repent and accept Jesus as their Savior, and then maybe start on a better pace in life, because that's what Jesus will do for you. He will transform you from the inside out. Trust me on that.
No, that's right.
See you next time. Take care.
No, that's right. Yeah, and I can most definitely agree with that, bro. That's why whenever I react to this particular topic here in general with Diddy, I don't like to judge him or be the person that's like, oh, he needs this, he needs that. Because at the end of the day, I don't know God's intentions. It can be God's intention to transform him and use him for something better. I don't know that. And if that's God's intention, that's God's intention. So I can't sit up here and, oh, he needs this, he need that, blah, 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 like a lot of people do, because I'm a person, I believe highly in God, bro. And I'm going to just tell y'all, this situation here is in God's hands. Justice done did all that justice can do. How God choose to handle Diddy moving forward, that's how he choose to do it. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't wish nothing bad on the brother. I don't wish nothing bad on his kids, his people, or none of that. However God choose to handle them, that's how God choose to handle them. And it doesn't just apply to them, it applies to everybody on this earth. However God chooses to handle you is how God choose to handle you. And I'm going to just leave it at that, bro. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This is the end of the video. Make sure y'all like, make sure y'all comment. Most importantly, make sure y'all subscribe and hit that post notification bell. Set it to all. All social media links will be in the description. The link to the previous reaction video will be there as well. Follow me on all my social medias. Click the link to the previous reaction video and watch that whole video after you watch this whole video. And also don't forget the link to the second channel will be in the description as well. Go over there, subscribe, and show love, because y'all will be seeing my face over there from time to time. But listen, I love y'all and I appreciate y'all for showing me love back. And we out this thing, man, for real.